Want Susan to try again?
She is the culprit.
Kyler, are you decorating your golf cart for Christmas?
You're muted.
Muted.
You're on mute.
Taylor, you're muted.
How about
There you
there? That good?
Like me, you got to be smarter than the technology.
The golf cart.
A golf cart parade at the golf course. How
Oh,
cool would
yeah,
that be?
that's awesome.
Ah, little cold that time of year.
Maybe for the tree lighting. Wait, who's that?
Uh,
Unmute yourself and identify yourself. There's two iPads.
Still cannot get in. Here's her number.
Do you want me to call Susan?
Who just sent the link?
I sent the packet. It had it on there. It's easiest.
And it's on the packet.
She has to be on camera.
I'd rather not get her on the phone. I'm not sure if Grant would like that or not, but it's really not that hard. Everybody else got on. I don't know if they're using this link.
She can run over.
Hmm?
She can run over.
Oh, she's down.
Two
from the
blocks.
Courthouse
Yeah,
again.
3 blocks.
You know what?
Okay, well, this is great entertainment for those watching on Facebook.
I think people should have to.
Those people in the waiting room, do they show up as participants, video participants?
No, they do not show up until they've been admitted. And everybody has been admitted, so
Okay.
we have nobody in the waiting room. That's what I'm waiting for her to get into the waiting room.
Hey, Patrick, at the last planning commission meeting, I sent you an email on Mrs. Owens.
Yeah,
I thought everybody was muted except the planning commission members.
they are. If I mute everybody, then it locks them in and it becomes difficult. So it's either you can lock everybody, which would include the planning commission members. So I just kind of scanned down the side of this page to make sure everybody is muted. And she was muted and then she unmuted herself and got in there before I could remute her.
But you have the control over muting people?
I do.
It's a sad,
It's,
sorry
it's-
thing.
It's a burden.
He loves the power.
Do I need to send her the invite again?
Did you
I
send
sent it to her once.
You sent it to her also,
Mhm.
and I sent her the packet.
Hold on, I'm getting the 3 dots thinking. It will not load. I just tried. I don't know. Hold on. Hey, it won't load on your computer or your phone? Why won't it load? What is it telling you? Okay. Okay, well, the Facebook and Troy Park Board world is waiting for you. Thanks. All right, we're trying Plan B.
And what's plan B?
Moving it over to Wade's laptop and they're gonna try it that way. She says she keeps trying to load it and it thinks a while and then just craps out. Not sure why. I think she's got an iPhone.
Is the course busy today, Kyler?
Yeah, it was fairly busy today, and the next 4 or 5 days are just slammed. I'm pretty much out of tee times from now till Sunday.
Wow. Well, that's great news, really.
Yeah,
Is,
yeah, it's
is
kind of bonus week, I would call it.
Is it members mainly, or is it?
No, I mean it's a mixture for sure. I mean,
'Cause we make
definitely
more
some
money
member
on
play, but it's a lot of
We make more money on the greens fees.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just tough because there's only so much daylight this time of year, so
Sure.
you end up turning away more people just because you can't fit everybody in. So
And how's the driving range doing?
yeah, driving range has been doing well. Obviously, we're on mats only this time of year, but numbers are certainly up on that side as well.
And how about the repair and maintenance costs? Are we having any issues on?
And
Has it been down for repairs at all?
referring to what now?
The dispensing machine at the driving range.
No, we haven't really had any issues. I've had a credit card issue maybe 1 time, 2 times this year that I've had to work through, and that's mostly just like a communications issue. But I mean, the machine itself, no, there's no physical issues with it. So.
Great, good. So it's a real benefit to the city of Troy to have that.
There she is.
Oh, no question.
Finally.
Welcome, Susan.
Sorry about that. It just wouldn't,
problem.
I had to use my husband's phone.
Okay. All right, Patrick, are you ready then?
Yeah, you've been live the whole time, having a nice little chat on Facebook.
Okay, well, good. Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers,
Here.
Mr. Emery,
Here.
Mrs. Westfall,
Here,
all members are present.
Okay, disseminated to all the members have been our minutes of our October 6th Board of Park Commissioners meeting. Any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes?
Nope.
Nope.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion.
motion to approve.
I'll
I'll second that.
Okay, Mrs. Westfall moved and Mr. Emmerich seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? They stand approved. Jeremy, our park superintendent, how are you today, sir?
Good, how are you?
Okay, do you have anything to add to your report or anything you want to discuss?
Just a couple things here real quick. First of all, an update from last month's meeting. We had Autumn White that did the presentation regarding the Duke Park basketball court. We
Right,
did receive that check from Autumn White on behalf of the Nottingham subdivision. And that's, of course, in memory of Grant Gillespie. So that the plaque has already been done from Nickel Monument. So we're going to be taking a canal block up there to have that plaque mounted. The rest of the work, we're beyond the seal coating season for the court itself. So we're on their schedule for early spring of 2021 to have the rest of that work commence. But I just wanted to give you the update on that. Our Tree City USA application time is now. So I've been working on that. Our deadline is December 4th. I anticipate I'll have that in the next day or so. So it looks like we've met the requirements for Tree City USA again, pending the approval of that application. And then just wanted to thank Timba. I got an update from Jeff Schultz yesterday. They had 14 different volunteers helping out at Timba this year, our mountain bike area, for a total of 452 volunteer hours that were put into that. So
that's great.
just a huge thank you to them. I know they work tirelessly out there, and it's just a huge amenity for our city. We've got people from all over that come to mountain bike. We also had a donation from Music's Metal Works. They had a metal cart built with a backpack blower mounted to it, so they can now pull that behind a bicycle to clear the trails without having to walk that. and that was all donated as well. So just a huge thank you to them. And they've kind of wrapped up their official year for the races, but still open riding available. And if people would just check their Facebook page, they give updates as to trail conditions, and the trail does close when it's too muddy to ride. So just wanted to give an update on Timba, and that's all I would have.
Great. Any questions of our park superintendent? Okay, thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Ken?
Yes, how are you?
Okay, thanks. Do you have anything in your report?
Just so we wrapped up our fall soccer season here a couple weeks back, and we're in full swing with all of our ice figure skating and hockey. We're beginning to work with our events that are going to be coming up, or at least tentatively scheduled for February and March, to determine if they can proceed with their events at this point or if they feel comfortable doing so. For example, the Miami County Home Builders Home Show. We've got a cheer competition scheduled for February. So some variances will have to be requested specific to those particular events, and we're going to work with them to submit those to the county and the state accordingly. So outside of that, at this point, we're really just focused on ice because of the fact we don't really have any special events scheduled until the beginning of February at this point.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, any questions of our Director of Recreation?
No.
Okay, Ken, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're up. Anything to add to your report?
Sorry, did you
Boo.
talking to me? Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing to add. No, I mean, things are obviously starting to slow down, although this week is looking to keep us pretty busy. Our mowing schedule has decreased accordingly with the weather. It's really more about just leaf pickup and blowing for our guys from a maintenance perspective. And we've got a couple weeks left with the shoreline. We'll go through up to Thanksgiving there. Obviously, keep the golf course open for the remainder of the year, but no, I mean, it's nothing in particular to add to that.
Super. Any questions of our Director of Golf?
No.
Okay, Kyler, thank you very much. I don't have any Planning Commission report. Okay, old business. We have an update concerning park encroachments. Tim Davis, I see you're in the conference room. Do you want to head that up? What's going on?
Yes, thank you. At the October Park Board meeting, it was reported that of the 11 encroachments that existed on park property, 6 complied, and then 3 had requested and were approved at the last meeting to pursue purchase of parkland, or at least it was declared a surplus. That left 2 cases remaining open. I have an update for you on those cases. The new owners of 2854 Amberwood have submitted a letter to request that the parkland be declared surplus so they could purchase it. They just purchased the property in September, didn't get to occupy the property, I think, until after the deadline was submitted. So that's why their letter is a little bit later than the others. And that leaves 1 property at 2396 Waterford Drive. It's Julie Green. She had requested staff, so myself and Neil Tieford went out to her property to discuss this with her and show her where the property line was. She was pretty unhappy, didn't want to move her fence, said she wouldn't move it and the city can move it if they want to. She did remove decorative items out of the area off of our property, but the fence still remains. She asked if we would replace or put the fence back in if we removed it. I told her we would not. We would just simply remove the fence. She has another issue, which is not our issue, as her fence actually encroaches onto her neighbor's property, but that's civil. I told her that's a civil issue between those 2 property owners. We would just remove the fence as it stands on the park property if we were to move in that direction. And she said that she has no intention of asking to purchase the property or removing the fence. So,
Gotcha. Last month, you had indicated that the 3 properties that we are suggesting to City Council be declared surplus and sold had satisfied the surplus policy that was adopted. Is this one on Amberwood also qualifying under that policy?
Yes, it is. They, in a letter, they talk about little economic impact that the property would have, or the impact it has to the park board, which it doesn't really impact the use of that land. It's a small encroachment area. I think there's a map attached. It's just a
Right.
couple feet over into the area.
Okay, what's the status on the 3 that we recommended last month?
That was approved by council.
Committee recommended, but we have to get all the legal descriptions, et
that's
cetera, and plats before we can take it to council. That will take until staff has time to do it.
And how about Waco Park and McDonough property? What's the status?
We're waiting on the final plat map approval on Mrs. McDonough's.
And Waco Park?
We have that, we just wanted to run them at the same time.
Okay.
Because we have their lot numbers.
Any questions of Mr. Davis?
No.
Okay, before us now is the consideration for recommending to council that we declare a surplus area at the rear of 2854 Amberwood. Is there a motion that anybody wants to adopt?
I'll make the motion to declare a surplus of 2854 Amberwood Drive.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Okay, there's a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Emmerich,
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Cappers.
Yes.
Approved.
Okay, next we have the removal of the fence at 2396 Waterford Drive. Mr. Davis, you indicated that she would permit us to remove that fence and basically place it in her yard. That's what I heard you say. Is that correct?
We would remove the fence. I told her she could have the materials back, but we would not erect it on the property line. We would just simply give her back the material that we removed.
Okay. I would make a motion to go ahead and do just that. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Cappers,
Yes.
Mr. Emmerich.
Yes.
Approved.
Mrs. Knight, if you'd make sure that the minutes reflect that staff had indicated that Mrs. Green permitted us to go ahead and remove the fence and place the portions of the fence onto her property, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I don't want any issues concerning trespass. Okay, next we have a review of council committee request for more information regarding the smoking ban in public parks. We had at the last month's meeting suggested to the legislative committee of council that we approved a ban on smoking in park property. They indicated that they are not going forward with a recommendation at that time. And I don't know that we can give them any more information than what we did. Both of you have received that report as well, right, Susan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want to take any action other than noting that council committee is not making a recommendation at this time?
So, Mr. Cappers, if I can interject.
You go right ahead, Mr. Terrington.
Thank you. Just to add some clarification, and if you'd like, Mr. Schilling, Councilman Schilling, who is the chair of the Parks and Rec Committee, is on the Zoom meeting. But during the committee meeting, there were several questions that were asked. Generally, the committee and other interested members of the public and council just wanted to clarify the scope of your recommendation. Are you talking about just park property? Are you talking about general park property, or all structures, play areas, or only play areas? Or, is this something that, how far in scope are you recommending?
I recall the motion last month. We had talked about two things, whether we wanted to go ahead and ban smoking in all park properties, or whether we wanted to ban smoking in an area of the playground equipment or within a radius around the playground equipment. And as the discussion ensued, it was a motion was made to go ahead and ban smoking, recommend that we ban smoking in all park properties. So that was the extent of the conversation that we had at the park board meeting last month.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Jordan
that
is,
includes then the Miami
I'm
Shores,
Shores Golf Course.
out the outdoor patio as well as on the course itself.
That is correct. I mean, if that's constitutes a park property, that was included in the motion. That being said, if we recommend to council committee legislation, they can pare that back if they want to.
No, there's no question.
Yeah.
And they all realize that. They just wanted to understand a little bit more about the scope. And there was not, in looking and thinking back to the previous park board meeting, there wasn't any discussion specifically about the Miami Shores in that discussion, regarding the course itself, the outdoor patio area, et cetera.
You are absolutely correct. And I don't think that was made a consideration, very frankly. And it might be that the motion and the motion that was adopted may have been overbroad. But I'm just telling you what the motion was.
Yeah, and to take that one step further, I mean, when we look at the previous minutes, we were cautioned against selecting specific areas. So I think that's why we kind of left it broad.
Right.
Right. And I do find it interesting, the comments that were made and how this would be policed. It seems a bit daunting to police this.
I agree. There's a lot of things that
It would be
we
difficult.
rely on the police to do, but we find it difficult to do. Go ahead, Mr. Tennington, do you have a comment?
Just that you're correct. The ability to police this would be, a cite and warn, and cite by that I mean seeing, not citation. It would be, you have to see them. Once you see them, then you warn them. If they don't heed the warning, then you escort them off the property. If they come back on the property, so there's a whole process and a lot of paperwork that would get involved for what would be amounting to maybe a minor misdemeanor. I'm not sure what Grant would write up. That was a concern, especially when there was some thought of narrowing it down to just playgrounds or certain areas. So the fact that you were covering all park board property made it a little easier anyway.
Understood. Okay. Anything else on that issue? New business. Consider authorizing a tent to be placed on Proudy Plaza. Who's leading the discussion on that? Because this is.
I'll do that.
Me. Okay.
I'll do that too. The city has been working with Troy Main Street and the downtown businesses to just kind of brainstorm some ideas to allow outdoor seating options during the winter months, given that we are still under the pandemic emergency warnings, et cetera. And one of the possibilities, although we're not sure that it would happen, is possibly renting a 40 by 40 tent and having that out on Proudy Plaza during the winter months, December through March. That's one option. Another option may be that we scale it back and we just have it in the month of December so that we can accomplish some of our holiday events in a safer manner, able to social distance, et cetera. There are challenges. Number one, we're not getting a lot of feedback from the businesses yet, so we don't know if there's going to be a demand and desire for that option. We are looking at some other options that may be smaller in scale that would not involve Proudy Plaza. There are some logistic issues right now that are not just community-wide, but they're pretty much nationwide, i.e. trying to find heaters. And so this is just if we do want to pursue this, the first step would be we would need permission by the park board to be able to have this placed out there.
I think it would be a good idea if we weren't in a COVID season. But to me, it sounds like a hot box for spreading infection to me.
Well, that could be correct, except that we would spread out picnic tables underneath the tent. And the objective of this tent is to provide an area for dining that is spread out more than having to be inside, where people may not be comfortable being even every other booth. Again, this is just one of several ideas. Not sure that we're not going to rent it if the businesses aren't interested, because the businesses would have to bus it. They would have to make sure, help us secure it. There are a lot of issues, logistics that have to be worked out.
Would the businesses also pay for the tent rental for 3 months?
Our intention would be to use the CARES Act money to rent the tent.
Okay.
Don't we-
Weigh in on what you believe any upside or downside on that is, Jeremy? You have any thoughts, Jeremy, about the use of Prouty Plaza with a big tent?
A couple things. One, and I discussed this with Patrick earlier in the week. The main thing was just how to anchor that tent. We've got irrigation lines that we do not know exactly where they are. We can mark the heads, but not the lines and the valve boxes. I think we've got a solution to that if we can use the weighted barrels or the water barrels. So I think that would be okay. The other is, and I was talking with my staff on how we go about, or who's going to be responsible for setting that up. Depending on the scale of the tent, that's a little bit of a concern, because we don't have a lot of experience, really zero experience doing something like that. So that's something I definitely think we need to think about. If we go the rental route, I think that's taken care of in the rental agreement. But that's kind of concerning to me as to how we go about getting that set up and taken down, and then the logistics of storage. I know it wasn't quite worked out yet either, but other than that, I think it's
So
pretty
the
straightforward.
option, if I may, just to clarify, the option that we're looking at would be a rental. So the setup and takedown would be by the rental company, and the rental would include some barrels or weights. So that would be taken care of without getting into the ground.
Seems to me like during the winter months, we'd also have to be concerned about snow load on that tent.
You would, and the tent has to be rated to take a certain amount of wind as well as snow load.
Didn't we used to have like a Santa's workshop there in December too? Is that not happened this year with COVID?
That is still being worked out. That's the Santa house, and that would take one corner of the property. We're still working out those logistics with Troy Main Street as to whether or not, well, not whether or not it can be set out. I won't go that far, but what kind of interaction Santa can have with the kids.
Gotcha.
Let me ask you this. We have some concerns, and I think you have some concerns as well. In authorizing this tent to be placed on Prouty Plaza, could we limit it to the month of December and then reconsider this at our December meeting for January, February, and March?
I'm sure we could.
Yeah. I'd kind of like that. I feel that Troy Main Street's a partner of ours, and I'd like to help them out as best we can. But I'd certainly like to see what this looks like in December and whether or not we're having any problems. So as far as permission, I would make a motion to authorize the tent be placed in Prouty Plaza for the month of December 2020 to be erected and taken down by the rental staff from which the tent flows.
Would that be for the tree lighting weekend also, which is November?
I don't know. I mean, that's that's the last week in November. So we could include there. I don't know that we had really talked about that weekend. But it's close enough to December month that if they were doing setup that time, again,
Yeah.
we're not sure if they've even found heaters yet because there is a nationwide shortage of those right now.
Susan, is your concern about permitting that to happen perhaps? If I
Well,
were,
I know that's going to be a busy weekend. There'll be lots of people if that's, an option for use during that weekend, but, to me, it depends on the weather. I just can't see people being in there with the flaps all down during COVID.
Yeah.
To me, it's no different than an indoor building. Granted, it's one more space to spread out in. I get that. I just don't see restaurants wanting to come out there and service that, but I don't know. Maybe they would be willing to do that. I don't know.
And again, we are not going to invest in that unless the restaurants show an interest. So it's still very much up in the air.
Mhm.
all right, there is a motion on the table for the month of December for authorizing the use of a tent on Proudy Plaza. Is there a second to that motion?
I can second that.
There's a motion, a second. Now, any further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Cappers,
Yes?
Mr. Emery,
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall,
Yes.
unanimous.
Okay. Patrick, keep us advised as to what's happening on that, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Patrick, do you have anything else to come before the commission today?
No, sir.
Mayor, I see you back there. Do you want to say anything?
Nothing today.
Okay. The commission members have anything else they want to discuss? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a
Motion to adjourn.
I'll
I'll
second.
second that.
Okay,
I love these.
we'll give that motion to Jordan and Susan, you second. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you, everybody.